citizens of the Reject Nation, thank you so much for joining us on this happy hump day. This is the first time I think this trio has been on camera together.
I think so.
You're with the Geek Jacks now.
Flanked by Geek
I'm
Jack.
here in the Geek Ject Center for the Daredevil Born Again trailer. If you've been following this channel for a long time, you know that obviously Koi's a fan. I'm a huge fan.
And I came over to your place when season 1 came out, and we binged it, I believe.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah,
we were
that's
like,
right.
holy crap, this is so good.
Before we go into the trailer, though, I mean, Andrew, how are you feeling? Deliver us the goods here.
Well, Mr. Alba, I'm doing just fine. I'm really excited. I loved seasons 1 through 3, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to get very soon here.
That, I believe, is a Wilson Fisk impression.
Vanessa
Is
has a lot
that
to
what
say
I was
about
going
this.
for? Yeah, I think that's what I was going
All
for.
right, well, Sesame Street, Wilson Fisk.
Yep,
Koi, how are you?
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm exhausted. I am barely thawed. I am trying to bring the heat to Hell's Kitchen this morning. But this is like my most anticipated thing, I think, of Marvel of the year. I know Fantastic Four is coming out, but I think that Daredevil is singularly the best adaptation from comic to screen that has come out of Marvel Comics. Blending the Netflix world into Disney is going to be interesting. I'm really curious about the tone and what they land on. And I'm a huge fan of Charles Soule and Ron Garney's run that brought us Muse. Anticipation couldn't be higher, Greg, even though it's 6 a.m.
Well, I got to bed at like maybe 3 or something like that. So I'm
just now.
I'm a little bit brain foggy at the moment. At the same time, it's like, even though my thought processes might not be the sharpest and clearest I'd like them to be before putting myself on camera, I feel grateful that this trailer is here because it weirdly still doesn't feel real to me. Looking back at the journey that this went through, we were around for the cancellation of this, and then to have it be revived over the fan enthusiasm. Koi was reminding me the other day when we shot a She-Hulk episode and I was freaking out about not being able to find my beat. I was in such a bad mood over not having a beat because I just wanted to represent my love for Daredevil so much. It's been a while since I read a Daredevil comic or even seen the show. Got to get some reading in there and some rewatching, but hey man, I'm excited to finally see this trailer. Leave a like on this video and let's see what's going on.
Yeah, immediate Muse.
Thank you for finding the time.
Oh!
I will admit, it's
Politician.
not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
That's how we feel.
Nervous, fidgeting, slamming the
A
table.
lot of time has passed.
It's true.
By the look of it,
Oh, seeing them all together again.
I could say the same about you.
Avocados a lot.
Whoa! Wow,
Yeah.
Mayor Fisk everywhere.
I can see you're not entirely convinced.
Never.
Oh, yes.
Can you blame me?
Nice transition.
Oh my God, I just got back from New York. This looks so cool.
Gaming the system. Why did you stop being a vigilante? The line was crossed.
I love just.
Oh, wow. Look at that. The horn missing.
Come to terms with the violent nature.
Oh, there's so much Muse in this trailer.
Hating the power.
Wow. Spider-Man 3 vibes, right?
That's over us.
Damn.
The brutality being back makes me so happy. That is so soon.
The city.
Oh,
Yes!
Bullseye.
Bullseye!
Ooh. Okay, I got some serious nipple chills going on right now.
Broken. Chaos. Must
Oh, he's beautiful.
Oh, the
The
baiting.
splash on the white rabbit. Yes. In the winter.
Might to hatch it down.
Oh.
I can't believe this is happening. This is so wild to me.
So much Muse.
Oh, wait, that was a Muse.
That
I
was a
was
Muse.
also raised
Oh.
to believe in retribution.
Oh, dude. That's an even longer shot than the D23 shot.
Ooh.
Oh. God.
Yes. I feel you, buddy.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Let that Catholic
Feels
Dean
like a
out.
Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
proper
Dean
Disney
now
Plus
stands for
show.
Daredevil.
Damn, that was
Wow.
a beautiful trailer.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Nailing that Netflix tone, bringing it to D+. I love it.
Okay, I gotta honor something because we had a conversation 3 days ago, and I was like, man, it does not feel like we are only a month and a half away from Daredevil, and that completely rewrote that narrative for me.
That tends to happen in our lives, Koi.
Yep.
We tend to sometimes we can fall down a bit of a cynical rabbit hole,
It's almost like the internet's a bad place.
and then we see something, and it's almost like marketing has an ability.
It's almost like marketing's
to
a good
sway your emotions. And go,
saying
you know what?
it worked.
Just
It worked.
maybe." Oh wow. Okay. I know you're gonna have a lot to say because there were so many. There's so many different visuals than I was expecting. I did not expect it to be that visually heavy. I thought it'd just probably be like more of a tease of the tone, but they're pretty much like going over a lot of what might happen in the season without fully telling us what's going to happen in the season. Andrew, my friend, how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling wide awake now.
All right.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. Like I said, I'm so excited that they at least definitely seem to be nailing the tone from Netflix, the brutality, which is one of my favorite things about that show. And I'm glad that they're bringing that to the Disney Plus platform. And there's just so many things I loved about that. I know there was a lot of things. It's been a while since I've watched season 3, but I think there's some things in there that are born again. So I'm going to be interested to see how faithful to the comic they're going to be. But having said that, I think there's some interesting things in there, theme-wise that they can bring to it because there's a lot of, interesting things that they bring in terms of paranoia, forgiveness, and I think like the thing I bring about forgiveness here is like at least when we got Wilson Fisk, like now he's the mayor, and we know like he was in prison. Like when you can go from goat to savior like that, I think that's an interesting theme to bring into the season. How now the public is in such trust of him to allow him into a position of power and public trust. Like that's it's an interesting position, like to allow someone who was in prison and now
to let a criminal
I see what you did there.
be in charge?
Yeah.
Look, we don't want to get political about this political thing.
But still,
All right.
but yeah, I do find that fascinating, and but yeah, again, I don't know a ton about Muse. I'm gonna be very interested to hear what Koi's gonna say, but he does look like a fascinating character. But I think the thing that I love the most about the Born Again comic book is seeing Matt's breaking point, because that comic just really like goes down a rabbit hole of like emotionally and mentally breaking down Matt.
Yeah.
And I think like this season is going to test Matt. I mean, as all seasons do, but yeah, this just got me so ramped and jacked and excited. It looks incredible.
Koi, my friend, how are you feeling now from Mr. Exhausted to watching this?
So I've seen footage. D23, there was footage. New York Comic Con, there was footage. But to me, this is the first like cohesive narrative we've built. We've kind of had the tone trailers you've discussed. And as much as I want to talk about the comics, I'll do in just a second. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, absolute geniuses.
Oh, that's right. The guys behind Loki and Moon Knight.
Season 2,
Yeah.
Moon Knight, half of that first season of Moon Knight. Justin and
Loki
Aaron are
season 2.
absolute geniuses. They are responsible for a ton of incredible independent film, and they're very good at very, very esoteric storytelling being told in ways that are almost linear enough to wrap your brains around their genius minds. And I'm really excited for
Like the
those.
Russo brothers of the television side.
They're bringing together like this very specific tone, and I'm excited to see some of that mixed in. And I think Muse is a great character for that. So, in speaking to the comics, Muse is from Volume 5 of Daredevil, which is the Charles Soule written, Ron Garney illustrated run. 2016 that run is from. It's Volume 5, but the first volumes are only like 5 or 6 issues. So he's only like 30 issues into the run. So I'd recommend going to issue 1 of that Volume 5. So if you go to like 2016 issue 1, it is a really beautiful journey to get there, and it's a really gritty, grounded, highly recommend. And he's in it only for a couple years. The last time we see Muse was issue 600, which is 2018. So he's only in the comics for 2 years. So at most, he's in like 20, 22 issues in that 24-issue run.
Why is it exciting to have him in here? What is he? I don't know. I texted Coily last night, like, you got to give me some recommendations, because my brain loses shit really fast. So,
what I love about Muse is he has a passion for making a statement about the artistry of his violence. So he basically, in the opening frame, when you see him slide into the wall there in a new hallway, we see some art on the side, and that is going to be his representation of the carnage he has made. He makes art from his victims. So I did say carnage. Easter egg. But that is going to be really interesting with the rebuilding of both New York, the relationships, and the rebuilding of Daredevil. It seems very meta to me that Born Again was the season 3 story, as Andrew pointed out, but this is the Born Again, 10 years later in our continuity, and Born Again into the Disney universe. So I'm really curious to see the rebuilding of Matt Murdock back into being Daredevil, the rebuilding of Fisk into the Mayor, the rebuilding of New York in this new image, the rebuilding of Daredevil in our universe into the Disney universe, and what that represents with this visual architecture through someone who uses visuals to maim and murder and cause horror to the city that 2 of the other characters are rebuilding visually in their aesthetic. So this to me feels like it's going to be a rebuilding of worldviews that are worldviews to celebrate, while we're seeing the worldview of Disney adapt to Netflix's worldview, all while building out what Hell's Kitchen is to 3 of these men.
Oh, incredible analysis.
That's what I
Both
got
of you
out
guys.
of it.
I love hearing from what both of you guys are talking about. To have like the villain be representative of Matt Murdock is probably like the best thing, because you got so many villains happening here.
Bullseye.
Who was the other one?
White Tiger.
Tiger. That was a
very
name I
briefly.
could not pull. Yeah, I heard about that one more than I heard about Muse. And then you talking about like these angles of the themes of Daredevil, right? Which is very much like Catholic driven theme of guilt and forgiveness as well. I didn't even think about that side of forgiveness that you were talking about. With okay, can we really trust Wilson Fisk? Wilson Fisk is coming to me for help. Is there a world where this man could possibly be reformed? Because I think this show does a really good job, at least if they're carrying it over from what they've done before, of like, what is good and evil, and is there some type of gray that can exist there? And I kind of feel like that's what Punisher sort of represents. Can that sort of be a bit of a gray area? And to have all these villains in here, this is going to be their biggest season, I think they've done, right? If I'm not mistaken, this is
How many episodes again?
It was originally, the old show was 30 minutes, but it was like 20-some episodes like an old TV. I think now it's split the difference at like 10, 12.
Okay.
I actually don't remember, but I know they changed it, and it's long form. It's 40 to an hour. Like it's like the Netflix show.
Yeah. There's slight differences in the cinematography, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it looks like it's got a budget for sure. Like, it looks great and very polished.
They know the importance.
It looks a little bit cleaner. Maybe not as like Netflix gritty in its presentation right up front.
I agree with that.
At the same time, I'm like, maybe that was the one part about it that was a little bit weird to me when I was watching it, and I don't know if anyone else felt this way. It's probably just some like weird subconscious nitpick that was coming up in my brain. It was like, don't look at the right corner, don't look at the bottom right corner. Just like that Disney
G
Plus logo. I was like,
it's
it's just something about it that is like affecting what I'm looking at for some reason.
The D is for Daredevil.
The D is for Daredevil.
It's Daredevil Plus.
Daredevil Plus. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, looking in that corner was
odd.
It was the one part that was going, okay, will they like hold back? Are they just doing something where like at first it looks like it's emulating what the Netflix show was doing, because they have to kind of do a twofold thing, right? They got to be like a season 4. They got to take in all the stuff that's happened within the MCU and Marvel, and to some extent, right? They're also carrying over from Echo. They're carrying over from
Hawkeye to a point.
Hawkeye to a certain point, right? Like, there's a lot that has happened. So you can't just watch Daredevil season 3. Maybe there is a world where you can't just watch Daredevil season 3 and then watch this, right? But
I feel like the Echo Mayor moment is the biggest thing for Fisk, right? He becomes, or the Mayor, setup happens in Echo, but I feel like they're going to explain that pretty clearly. I do feel like
Echo just ends with him looking at the Mayor,
right,
and going, maybe.
And that's all you need. Those 30
that's
seconds.
really all you need.
Which they'll probably show in this show.
Because his eye doesn't look messed up.
Yeah.
Like his eyes look like fully healed.
Yeah, he gets shot in the face. Yeah,
he gets shot. But what happens, right? What happens? But yeah, I mean, violence-wise, action-wise, everything mood-wise, I feel like every actor here has been so excited. It's been getting me very excited. And it still weirdly doesn't feel like it's really here yet for me. There's that there's something about it where I'm like, I don't know why, but
we've waited so long.
Yeah, it's like I don't feel like I'll believe it until I'm actually watching the show, and even then I might have a little bit of a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that Daredevil is actually back in its own, television form. Like, they got like everything back in here. And this might be the exact thing Marvel needs right now, because like doing Deadpool and Wolverine was something, but Daredevil, when it came to us, we didn't really understand just how separate Marvel television at the time was from like the MCU movies.
Yeah.
So when we first watched Daredevil, we immediately accepted it as this is part of Marvel's cinematic universe, fantastic series. And instead of like indoctrinating, the way they did Deadpool into the Marvel cinematic universe, this is still like it's got its own weird little pocket that it's occupying in terms of being in the MCU.
This is the No Way Home in Deadpool and Wolverine of Netflix.
In a sense, yeah, because it's also the one that was weirdly the most affected by a business transaction that was part of Marvel already. You know?
Like Sony had all the mess with Andrew Garfield, and like when Toby ended, they rushed into Garfield. When Garfield was going to make a 3, they rushed into Tom. So I feel like No Way Home was like, here, we're fixing all this. And then Fox fell apart in various ways, and then Daredevil Wolverine's like, here's a love letter. To me, not only is this Daredevil entering in the Netflix tone, but it's also like we realized that the Netflix stuff was important, bring it over. And that's it feels impactful in the way that those do because Punisher's in it, because we feel like we're blending those universes. So I think it's a really wonderful thing. And I honestly, I don't know. This does feel like the TV version of those big events. This feels like an event show.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. But everyone just slipped right back into form after being away for so long.
Avocados at law.
And also,
any last thoughts, buddy?
the reaction that we all genuinely gave when we saw Foggy, Karen, and Matt all together again. I remember there were some rumors or some talk about them possibly not coming back. So I'm so glad that they're back, because those are very meaningful relationships, and I don't think it would have been the same without them. So I am so grateful and glad that they were able to get them back.
And no one loves Karen Page like Deborah and Woll. The fact that she spent all of those years while everyone else was in their roles going like, I'm ready, like put me in, coach.
Well,
like, and her love of the character is so palpable.
Well, now that it's on Disney Plus, this is the time we will see her full-on drug addiction.
Yeah.
This is when I think
The D also stands for drugs plus.
Yeah. Who's he dancing with in this?
She can't give up Matt's identity like she did in the comic, because like Wilson Fisk already knows it. But yeah, we could still see that portion.
Yeah, it is strange. Like, that was an interesting point you guys were bringing up, that Daredevil Born Again was season 3. That was the most inspired by it, and then they take the title to this, but it has a completely different meaning. And it's not really like what
you know what it feels like? It feels like Bad Boys 3 calling it Bad Boys for Life. And then the 4th movie them being like something else, and this is like, we already used the title. Like,
damn it.
Who's this Sharon Stone lady that he's
actually was
dancing
wondering that during. I don't think we've met her yet.
Okay.
So she's new. We see Muse, we see White Tiger. I love the red mask as
See
like a
Bullseye
placeholder. Yeah, we see Wilson Bethel.
There's a lot happening in there, and I guess part of it, I feel like this might feel the most like comic booky out of them all, because
while still being the grit we talked about.
And I'm definitely reaching here, but that shot where his mask was falling down in frame really reminded me a lot of the shot in the Daredevil with Ben Affleck, where the rose is at the end.
I'm really curious about all the masks lined up, like the 5 masks. We've seen them in 2 of them, 3 of them. We've seen them in like 3 of the masks. There's 5 there. I'm really, because one of those is this incredible part of the Charles Soule Ron Garney arc where he is basically leading the Hand. Like he's a a bad-ish guy in an all-black suit with red eyes, and that suit was in there. So like there's a lot in that run. Also, it feels like they're touching on the Chip Zdarsky run, which I highly recommend you check out as well. Like there's a lot of, like you were saying, this is probably the most comic-y we've seen. Yeah,
because of the fact of how many villains it looks like there's going to be in there. It seems like they are exploring truly the street side of Daredevil, and the fact that Daredevil gets access now to more MCU characters. I imagine that the plethora of what we are able to see, kind of like what James Gunn was saying about Superman in a way, right? Of how you just throwing in Superman as already a lot of these characters that already exist. You didn't really get that sense into the Daredevil show when you were there. Like they were building that up, like leading to the Defenders and such. But it seems like when you have this amount of villains in here, like they showed a minimum of 4 villains in this trailer, that I'm like, okay, maybe there's gonna be even more than that, because I think the most they've done is like 2, right? Like season. Usually it's like 2 at most.
Well, like Punisher is antagonist with someone often, but that's kind of the limit. And then like, a villain of the week pops up occasionally.
Well, it's like there was like the gray ones with Punisher and Elektra, and then the Hand was like, they're the bad guys that season. And then season 3 is like Bullseye and Kingpin, right? Yeah. But I'm like, oh, there's like a bunch here. And so this journey is going to be an interesting one, because it doesn't just look like I need to take down Kingpin, but he's probably going to betray him at some point, right? Anyway, guys, are you excited for Daredevil Born Again? We are. When does it come out?
March 6th or 4th.
So soon.
March
so
4th.
Much to do.
It said it. I think it's March 4th.
So much to
It's
do.
like 6 weeks, dude.
Oh, wow.
Read those comics. Read those comics.
Rewatch. And then also we got Invincible season 3 coming up. We got Cobra Kai.
Oh, this year's crazy.
We got to make a list of rewatching stuff.
There's so much coming up. All right,
we should rewatch it on the channel.
It's a super busy early 2025, and we are blessed that this is what we get to do for a living. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll talk with you guys soon, Reject Nation.